So something brand new is about to happen. Something brand new is about to happen. And the reason that I know that is because something brand new is always about to happen. Something brand new is always happening. Heard a wonderful quote yesterday from Nancy Levin. Honor the space between no longer and not yet. Honor the space between no longer and not yet. Because that's where we're living. We're living at the intersection of the things that have happened before and are no longer underway, and the things that have not happened. And we're moving through that timeline. Honor the space between no longer and not yet. And when we founded New Thought Philadelphia, we were looking for what our catchy tagline was going to be. It's your new life begins with a new thought. And that sort of summarizes the entire New Thought teaching into a single line. There's a lot of detail, and there's a lot of nuance, and there's a lot of different aspects of how we can look at that. But it boiled down to your new life begins with a new thought. And a friend of mine who has been around this teaching forever says, well, what if I'm happy with the life I'm having now? I don't need to have a new thought. And I got it. I understood what he was saying. But I also realized that we're in that space between no longer and not yet. So, and I pointed out, if you're enjoying the life that you've been having, then set the intention for that good to continue to unfold. And he was still skeptical. And I told him to take a deep breath and hold. And he did. And I said, good breath. Let me know when you need another one. And he got it. Because just like our breathing, our experience of life is continuing to refresh and continuing to update. So even if we're very happy with the experience we've been having now, it's wonderful to be intentional about having that continue. Can you believe that it's going to continue? That's the title of the talk. Can you believe it? And it's something interesting because belief is a little bit elusive. Sometimes we believe things that we don't know that we believe. Sometimes we think we believe things that we don't actually believe. And there's some of the subtlety that I was talking about before. And since something new is always unfolding, being clear about what we believe is important. So a few times in the past, we've gone over the 4 questions from Robert D. McDonald. And I want to give a shout out to Robert D. McDonald, inspiring man. He made his transition a couple of weeks back, so he's no longer with us. But the 4 questions remain. The first one is, are you happy with the experience of life that you're having now? It's a yes or no question. Are you happy with the experience of life that you're having now? And question number, and then it's, if the answer is yes, then you're excused from the rest of the exercise. But it's about setting the intention. Am I happy with this? Yes, I am happy with this. Okay, I have now stated that I'm happy with this. And that's wonderful. I've got a yes to that one. Question number 2 is, what's the experience I'd like to be having instead? What is the experience of life that I'd like to be having instead? The third question, he gets a little specific. He says, once I have it, how will I know that I have it? Some people say, are you happy with your experience of life? No, I'm not happy. Okay, well, what do you want to be? I want to be happy. Okay, well, once you're happy, how will you know you're happy? If I want a new Toyota, then I will know when I have achieved that goal because I'll have a new Toyota. But if it's something more vague, like I want to be happy, I want to feel loved, I want to I want to be successful at work. Okay, what's that actually look like? Do the work and define that. Once I have it, how will I know that I have it? And then the last question is, what's keeping me from having it now? And what's keeping me from having it now is disbelief. Your new life begins with a new thought, and it's activated by belief. It is not what you think you want, it is what you believe you deserve that shows up in your life. So I'm going to give you some words. There are different degrees of the same sort of thing. The first one is amazing. That is amazing. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Same thing. Wow, that's hard to believe. And that's even perhaps more amazing than amazing. Or maybe it's not for you. Maybe hard to believe is one thing and amazing is like got some grandeur to it. Unlikely. Well, that's unlikely. I don't think that's going to happen. I have some doubt, some concern, some hesitation, some qualms about that. Unlikely. So a little less powerful than amazing, for sure. Then we get to unbelievable. I think something is unbelievable. And what does that mean to me? What happens if somebody proposes something and you say, that's unbelievable? And the last one on my list is impossible. Somebody says something is impossible. And do you know that everything that's ever happened was impossible right up until it happened? I mean, in the beginning there was just energy, and it didn't take any form, and it took a long time for the matter to start to appear. So everything that exists, everything that has ever happened, has been impossible at some point, and then it happened. So the question is, what do you believe is possible? What's possible as far as you're concerned? And what is it that you'd like to have? What can you believe? Do you believe that peace amongst our culture, peace of the people of the world is possible? And this is not a judgment call. I'm not saying, oh, well, you're bad if you don't believe in that. Because that's, people say, oh, I'm going to pray for peace on earth. Okay. What does that look like? Once you have it, how will you know you have it? How about fairness? Our friends over at the Centers for Spiritual Living have a phrase that they've been working with for a few years, which is a world that works for everyone. And I love the thought of that. A world that works for everyone. It's not that everybody has to do the same thing, not everybody has to believe the same thing, but one way or another, we're fitting together in a harmonious way that works for everyone. Is that amazing? Is that unlikely? Is that hard to believe? Is that impossible? Is that unbelievable? Can you believe it? Can you believe in a world that works for everyone? Can you believe in freedom, fairness, and equality for everybody? Can you believe in bodily autonomy for every person on earth to be able to make their own choices about themselves? Here's a question. Do you believe it's possible to move from one place to another without traveling in the space in between? Do you believe it's possible to move from one place, from one location, to another without traveling the space in between them? How does that fit on the notion of amazing, hard to believe, unlikely, unbelievable, or impossible? Moving from one location to another without traveling through the space in between them. Well, in fact, that's not only possible, it's happening all the time. And when I tell you what it's called, you'll go, oh, I've heard of that. And I thought it was a social term rather than the term of physics. It's called the quantum leap. Because if you remember way back to your high school chemistry class and you're talking about the electrons and valences, there are electrons that are close into the nucleus and there are others that are a distance out and then another distance out. And there are different levels of energy that make them happen there. And what the scientists discovered a long time ago is that when an electron moves from one valence level to another, it does not travel in the space between them. It disappears from one and instantaneously appears in another. Electrons move from one place to another without traveling through the space in between, and they do it all the time. And is that important? Probably. Does that mean that I can teleport, that I can move from where I am to someplace else without traveling through the space in between? Maybe. Don't know how to do it. Don't have a technique. That's way up on my unlikely, hard to believe scale. Certainly amazing. But the electrons are doing it all the time. And in fact, that's what the transistor is based on. In fact, all of our computing technology and all the stuff that we've been doing with electronics for the last 50 years is all based on the quantum leap. And just for fun, I looked up quantum leap on the interwebs. And quantum leap is now described as a breakthrough in thinking. As we go along thinking one thing and then suddenly we have a breakthrough to something else. And on the one hand, that's wonderful. On the other hand, it really discredits that amazing principle, that amazing event that's happening to move from one place to another without traveling in the space in between. That's something that is so outside of our thought process that a lot of times we would just say that's unbelievable or impossible or unlikely. So what's going to make it possible for somebody to teleport? I don't know. I do know that a new experience is brought about by a new belief. And the same process that is used to create everything is used to create whatever we're working on right now. So if there's something that we desire to have in our lives, we get to those questions from Robert D. McDonald, what's the experience of life that I want to be having instead? That's where I get to define it. What is it that I want to have instead of the experience that I've been having? And describe it and explain it and understand it and be able to have clarity about it. Not the specific things that are happening. I don't need to know the mechanics of how the electron moves from one valence to another to understand that that's the sort of thing that I want to be doing with my instead of getting on an airplane. And that's much grander than what we're mostly thinking about, which is wanting to have the contract change, or wanting to have the right shoes, or to have the physical therapy working properly. What's the new experience I want to have? Do I believe that I deserve it? Get in touch with what that belief is. Invite in that new possibility, the feeling of having it. Not this is what the specific PT exercises are going to be, or these are the kind of shoes that I'm going to wind up being happy with. What's it going to feel like? What's the experience going to be once I've got it? So we invite in that possibility. We set the intention for having that experience in our life. The tone, the texture, the flavor, the feeling of it. And the next thing we want to do is suspend disbelief. Now that's a double negative, and I usually don't like working with double negatives, but it's really important. Because if your life experience is created according to your beliefs, and you have disbelief, then whatever it is that you were looking for ain't going to happen because you've got disbelief. So we suspend disbelief. Am I willing to let go of the thought that it is hard to believe, unlikely, unbelievable, or impossible? And am I willing to let that one go? To what extent am I willing to let that one go? And the other thing we get to do is surrender attachment. Let go of thinking that we know how it's supposed to happen. We know what the answer is going to be. Let go of the thought that we know. Let go of control. We love the notion that we're in control. And sometimes we're so good at exerting control, and the universe is so accommodating in showing us the results of our control, that we think that's what's going on. We are setting an intention for something new to come into being, and then we are taking the action that we need to take, and that action results in the thing that we wanted to have happen. Is that the only way it could have happened? Well, I'll ask you another question, looking back upon your life. Is there ever in your lifetime an experience where you wanted something to happen, and you thought you had to do a lot of work to make it happen, and then suddenly it happened before you got around to doing any of the work? That in fact you did not need to be in control, it just happened? The answer is, of course. We've all had that experience. And what we learn from that is apparently nothing, because we still think we need to be in control. So we surrender our attachment, and then we allow. We allow the universe to co-create with us. Because the newness starts when the belief changes. That first question is, this is the newness that I want, can I create it? And that's what we get to let go of. That's where we get to surrender the attachment. And that's actually the key, the key difference between the technique of manifesting and doing affirmations and a practical prayer. Because in manifesting, it's can I create this? I'm claiming my good, I'm claiming my prosperity, I know that the universe is partnered with me, I'm claiming this. And in a practical prayer, we identify the aspect of the infinite creative power that has been created since the very beginning of time. And let go of the idea, can I create it? And turn to the idea, can God create it? Is it possible that that infinite intelligence, that divine presence, that limitless love, that energy, that power, that creative force that has created everything, is it possible that that could create this? And then the answer, a lot of times is different. Well, I might not be able to do it myself, but certainly the divine could do it. And then I remind myself that I'm on Team Divine. So maybe in partnership we can do it together. And maybe we will understand how to personally move from one place to another without traveling the space in between, or how to have peace and fairness, a world that works for everyone. Freedom and fairness and equality and bodily autonomy for all people. Maybe we'll be able to make that quantum leap, partnered with the infinite. And maybe take it from impossible to unlikely, to hard to believe, to amazing. Choose where you want to have that experience unfold in your life. Because the process is always working. It's working for you right now. Newness starts when belief changes. So join me in believing something fabulous about yourself. The time is now. You're the gift. So it is.